Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Sunday. My practice of working with Loki continues to evolve. Now, in recent meditations, I have been absolutely peppering Loki with questions, particularly regarding the logistics of my practice moving forward into 2022. Now, thus far, my general approach of how I do things has gone through a bit of an editing process, but this has also gotten involved with me asking questions of myself about what am I doing out of habit that doesn't seem to really get me anywhere, and what are the things that I'm doing because it's meaningful and genuinely coming from the heart and it's helping me progress and advance spiritually. But it would seem that in spite of these small little moves, there is more to come. And I want to make sure that my own plans are in alignment with Loki's and that I won't be creating situations in which I'd be pulling from the opposite direction of him and saying, oh, no, that's going to completely overthrow my entire schedule if I do what he suddenly decided I needed to do. So I need to leave some wiggle room. But one of the big changes coming is a formalization of the relationship. Loki has already taken over as the main deity of my life in day-to-day practice, but on January the 1st, I'm going to be performing a ritual in recognition of this fact and to fully embrace him as my patron. I did have a few questions about what this would mean for the rest of my practice, beginning with, did Loki want me to stop being Wiccan and just focus solely on the Norse side of things and their way of doing things and the Norse magical methods and all of that? He has indicated to me this is not the case, and that my conception of the god and the goddess of Wicca, in the simplest terms, is that they are the father and the mother of all. And my sense is that Loki was a bit taken aback that I would think that he would ask me to forsake that established relationship or my understanding of where they are in the grander scheme of things. So, honoring the divine parents of all beings is not in contradiction with specific paths of paganism, and that certainly doesn't go against Norse values or against Loki's values. My next question was, is it all right if I carry on with my Celtic studies? My ancestry is pretty much half and half Norse, Germanic, and Celtic peoples, and one of the things I've always appreciated about Wicca is the obvious influences from both the ancient Celts and the Norse, and it fuses things together in a cohesive way, and it has helped me stay connected to both. Loki has indicated that he does want me to keep up with my Celtic studies because these are the peoples and the histories that literally make up half of my very being. Now, the reason for why the Norse influences in my life and my practice are so overpowering at the moment is because it's part of my heritage I had always shied away from. And this is owing in part to issues I had in my relationship with my mother. And rejecting the ancestral culture and her background to a large extent was more about wanting to create distance from her and the problems that we had than it was a disinterest in my heritage or finding nothing that I could connect with. So embracing the Norse and Germanic gods, the philosophies, practices, it's a means of bringing me better into balance and also healing a wound that's in my psyche. So the third question has been, how does putting Loki first in my life affect any dealings I might have with other deities? And the answer to this has multiple layers. Firstly, if I'm having issues, particularly issues that I might want to bring to another god's concern because it relates to, their sphere of things, Loki still wants to know about it. He wants to hear about the issues from me because acknowledging when I need a helping hand is one of the things we're working on. And as my patron, he doesn't want to be kept in the dark or for me to just get in the habit of going around him or not consulting with him just because it's not part of his immediate areas of responsibility. He just wants to know. Secondly, just as it takes all sorts of people to make a world, it also takes all sorts of gods to make a universe. What I'm being told is that it's perfectly fine to give honor to any deity I see fit, whether it's for a particular sabbat or because I happen to admire them. Prayer is fine, praise is fine, offerings are fine. But if I want to attempt to interact more closely with a deity through meditation or invoking them into spells, or if I'm just petitioning them for help, Loki wants to know about it ahead of time. That way he can evaluate the situation himself, put his 2 cents in, and unless he has an objection, then I can reach out to that other deity for assistance. The impression that I'm getting is that part of a deity giving patronage to a person involves that god being the one who gets to take the first crack at things. And it's about continuing to build that relationship on both sides and ensuring it is a two-way street for both parties. I have certain responsibilities towards Loki, and Loki is assuming certain responsibilities towards me. So, another thing that has come up in meditations is why me? I think this is a question that's likely to come up for any practitioner. Um, in the event that a god or goddess is taking a very active interest in their affairs, whether it's helping them heal and grow, or whatever else the issue is, but just, a deity shows up in your life and says, you're coming with me. So, partly this question does come from a sense of humility, as bizarre as that might sound, coming from a Leo. We are not known for being humble, and for good reason. But the fact of the matter is, the gods have a considerably higher station than human beings. And while I am more convinced than ever that the gods do care about us and they are active on our behalf, it's a bit different to understand that intellectually and to envision that process occurring at a distance than it is to experience up close and personal interactions in which you're being given pretty clear and definitive direction from a deity themselves. It can be a little bit overwhelming. Now, whether it's a deity who's just accepting someone as their own, or if it's a deity plucking someone out of their routine and declaring that we belong to them now, it's a big step for both parties. And from the human vantage point, I have to wonder, why on earth do any of the gods, let alone Loki, bother with any of us in such a personal way? And the only thing I've come up with is what I see in the myths. They do provide some guidance on this point. There are many humans in those stories who are either interacting with the gods, some of them literally face to face, and some of these people were considered to be good friends of the deities by the deities themselves. So sometimes the gods just take a liking to us, much in the way we sometimes find ourselves taking a liking to certain people, and then that has the potential of growth and closer interactions from there. Now, in the past, Loki hasn't been all that explicit about why he showed up in my life. He's been more concerned with nudging me towards attending to certain matters in my life, particularly areas in which I have needed healing. And he still isn't giving me a straightforward answer, but he is giving me a few things to think about, one of which is my ability to assess what's going on, see how it relates to the bigger picture, and to strive to get to the bottom of why something doesn't or does work. Another thing is that from my childhood on, I've always been very comfortable changing things up that aren't working. And one of the major sources of conflicts I've had with other people, both as a child, teen, and adult, whether it was within the family, friendship, work, politics, religion, is that when I see that something doesn't work, and it is actively causing more harm than good, my instinct is to tear it down and to do something different to see if another approach will work better or if we need to rethink things altogether. But most people seem to prefer keeping everything the same, even if the status quo is miserable. But I just want to break the cycle. When I say break the cycle, I'm envisioning chains shattering. Whether through being hammered on with a hammer or whatever, just make it go away, make it stop. So, understanding the value of chaotic creative destruction as a means of getting rid of what's harmful is probably one of the reasons why Loki chose me to work with. He's in a unique position to nurture this quality, and so that I can facilitate that process where appropriate and do so in a wise manner, because obviously that could get into some dangerous territory, that could get into some bad territory. So definitely need a little bit of guidance. I also suspect, though Loki has not confirmed this, but I suspect he senses my frustration with the people who don't love life enough to actually fight for it. I think he's helping me endure that frustration in a way that doesn't completely poison me, because it could. Maybe someone watching this can relate to that feeling of just why won't you work towards making something better? Why are you going along and aiding the people who are hurting you? Why? There's probably a lot of us who are asking questions of that kind, especially here lately. One of the things Loki's told me, and he did this in a very casual and offhand manner, is that there are always going to be people in the world who lack the wisdom to understand that evil has to be opposed, risk cannot be avoided, and there are more important things in life than convenience. And a lot of things that go on in our lives, it is a lot of people who just don't want to be out of their comfort zones. They don't want to be inconvenienced. They don't want to have to take the trouble or the responsibility of doing what needs to be done in order to, right society's course. So the sheeple, which I think that's a very good name for them, their tendency to comply with any and everything, good or bad, and not even questioning the basis of someone's claim to authority, they make life much harder for everyone else. And I actively resent it. If they put a thimbleful's worth of effort to support people to fight tyranny, then half of our society's problems would be solved, or at least much more manageable, and this would occur in very short order. So I do see them as this terrible obstacle that has to be overcome, and it's difficult. It's difficult to continue to see them as people, to not dehumanize them, and to understand that their mode of being is an aspect of human nature, and that for some of them that is simply how they and who they are. And it wouldn't matter what you did; they're never going to be anything other than that, and that's incredibly frustrating. Now, I can't make the claim, and I don't want to make the claim that Loki noticed me struggling with this reality, and that's what made him decide that he was just going to take pity on me and help me through it. But I think what is honest to say is that his presence in my life is helping me to accept the things that I can't control and to save my energy for what I am able to influence. This is a process, possibly it's going to be a lifelong process, but his way of looking at the world, it does help in and of itself, even if that isn't part of his intentions or has anything to do with the reasons of um, why he decided to work with me. So what comes next? I have been working at a breakneck pace to get all the videos for December written, recorded, uploaded, and scheduled, as well as making sure that all the daily content I post on Discord is ready to go and just can be automatically done, because I want to make sure that I do have plenty of time to just relax, take a breath, enjoy the Yule season, particularly from the 20th December, which is Mother's Night, on to January 1st, which is New Year's Day and Dedication Day. I just want to make sure that in addition to be able to actually enjoy all that, I want to make sure I have time to prepare so I can have a strong start in 2022. I've asked for Loki for nudges on this front because all the things that I'm doing, this is part of my devotion to him as well as to the god and the goddess. So first, beginning with videos, I still want to be uploading at least one video daily, and I still want to cover a variety of topics just like I do now. My hope is that all of this works towards showing, one way in which a generalist practitioner, how they approach their craft, how they go about things, and just the practicalities of living a good and decent pagan life. I want that to be something that's visible, and I want, non-pagans to see, oh, these are just normal people. They have different religious practices, but essentially they are just normal people, just like me. I think we need to be aware of our public image just a little bit more. Another thing is I still want to do a monthly video series in which different gods and goddesses are highlighted, but I also want to delve into the philosophy of the Norse and Celtic culture. For example, I'd like to do a series in which the Havamal is discussed verse by verse. There's lots of videos where people talk about origins and translations, and they do different readings of them, and it's all very moving. But until we talk about how we can apply these principles, the job isn't really done when it comes to the analysis of it. So I want to talk about that. Just verse by verse. And then I want to do another series in which we examine the Celtic Triads just one at a time. I don't think it's enough to simply read them and say, oh, okay, I know what they are. Because the point of the information is to use it, and you aren't going to be able to use it if you haven't thought about what it means when you put it into practice. So that's that. Another video series I want to begin will be titled, The Pagan Housewife, and it's going to focus on domestic magic, homemaking, and making where we live our own personal temple. Hearth and home were of paramount importance to our pagan ancestors, and I think it's past time that as a community we reject the ideologies that denigrates and devalues the work of those who are able to focus on the home. I think we have plenty of evidence for exactly how destructive that is for individuals, for the general domestic front, for families, for marriages. They've had their say, they made their case, we can see the results, and we don't have to continually entertain their ideas, because I think the results are in, and I think we can choose to do something that works a little bit better, because obviously what they're pushing is not helping anybody. Another thing I want to do through the videos, particularly with ongoing Loki videos, is just to try to be a good ambassador for Loki. We all know he has a bad reputation in many quarters, and some people who follow Loki don't exactly present themselves well or represent him well. And I think for those of us who work with him, we have a responsibility to address this issue. We should make the case for why we believe that he's been misrepresented, how his role as a god is poorly understood, and to show by the way we live our lives and how we interact with others through this means that he is a beneficial force in the universe, and he's had beneficial effects on our lives, and that there is something to be gleaned from him, even if someone isn't wanting to work with him directly, that they can see not just how he serves a purpose, but get a better idea of who he is. He's not this one-dimensional, cartoonish character. There's so much more to that. Now, I'm not claiming to be a perfect ambassador for him, either in videos or in text discussions. We all know how, even when people are trying to communicate, well, we all know that miscommunications can happen, things can be misinterpreted, all kinds of stuff can happen, but I can at least try. And even though I'm not perfect, Loki hasn't required perfection from me or anything like it. What he's asking is honest and consistent effort, so that is within my realm of capability to do. Next, as far as the posts of at Blackbird's Brew on Discord, every day I try to post 5 things. I'll do, for instance, the daily forecast. I go over the astrology for the day, because that gives you an idea of what kind of ambient energy is just floating through the air, so you can make your plans accordingly. I also have a grouping of correspondences around a magical intention and a tarot card for the day, and I make a collage of pictures to go along with it. And I'll also post devotionals or practical spells, magical recipes, video links of pagan seasonal decor. A lot of those in one of our channels right now, because there's a lot of pagans out there who have made videos of how they decorate for Yule, and some of them are really beautiful. So I do that, or links to music, pagan art. There's a wide variety of things, and it varies from month to month what I try to make sure that I do. But in January, I'm changing things up just a little bit. I am still going to make sure that I post the day's astrology, because I think that can be extremely useful. And I'll pair it with a wintry nature picture. And I'm already working on getting all of that prepared. I have 2 days in January done at the time of this recording. Now for divination, things are changing. One possibility is that I will draw a single rune just for contemplation for the day, talk about what it means, talk about just where my thought process went with this rune. Or I might pull a rune, a tarot card, and an alchemy, and just write a paragraph or two about what overall message I think those are trying to tell me, themes that I think are worth meditating about. And of course, the hopes is that this might spark a conversation or two. We'll just have to see. Again, I haven't at this point fully decided which direction I'm going with that, so we'll see what happens. I've also decided to bring back journal prompts. I did that back in November, and it was enjoyed. So those will be coming back in January. These prompts might be part of a devotional. They might be a separate thing. I haven't decided that yet either. But instead of looking to others for inspiration to come up with these prompts or these questions, I'm going to try to do it myself, and I'm going to try to keep it very pagan-centric and also tap on to what's going on during that time of year. I mean, I think for most paths, we recognize January as this month of rest, month of hibernation, month of simplification. So we'll see where that goes with that. Now, if the journal prompts end up being separate from devotionals, then I've really got my work cut out for me, because instead of just looking up the devotionals that are provided in one of my books, it's titled Year in a Day of Everyday Witchcraft, 366 Ways to Witchify Your Life by Deborah Blake, I want to come up with my own. I want it to reflect where I'm at in my own spirituality and have it specific to that, to share what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And maybe that'll inspire someone else to kind of shake up their own personal practices, do something a bit different, examine why they're doing what they're doing, and if they're getting everything that they want out of the process. So we'll see how that goes. And Loki is also wanting me to get pretty hyper-focused on practical, everyday aspects of the craft, particularly for the home. Really make it just part of the daily routine, even more so than I already do. And of course, the posts at the brew are likely to reflect those efforts. Another thing is discussion, discussion, discussion. One of the big reasons why I and two of my dear witch sisters decided to create Blackbird's Brew to begin with is because we all felt the need to create a community, to build relationships with other pagans, and to have an oasis when we're not expected to have our politics a certain way. And we're always trying to reach out to others who are driven out of other online forums because of politics, as well as those who are wanting to share about their spiritual journey and to teach, or those who want to reinvigorate their spirituality after being away from it for a time, or those who are just new and trying to find their way and they're learning and they're absorbing information like a sponge. We want it to be a place for our whole community. And success is going to depend on people being willing to interact, being willing to get to know each other and to discuss ideas, large and small, and it all begins with conversation. So to this end, I and others at the brew, we post about a variety of things on a daily basis, and this is all done in hopes that the conversations will evolve from it. And I make it a point to acknowledge what other members are posting and to be available so far as humanly possible to just be available when they're wanting to talk about something, whether it's spiritual or personal, something lighthearted, something very serious. Just try to at least have one person there that they can interact with. And of course, as members, come in and go out and go back and forth. My hope is that even those who tend to be very shy will gradually begin to feel more at home and will open up and start building friendships and start being able to share the joy they take in their own spirituality. And right now, there are ongoing brainstorm sessions about how to have voice chats that appeal to more people at the brew. Now, of course, on Sundays, the Wicca 101 class discussions are going to carry on as usual. We have a lot to get through. Tuesday evenings, we had a voice chat that's purely social. It's just about visiting, getting acquainted, and talking about whatever we feel like talking about. And Wednesday night chats are likely to be topic chats. And I'm consulting with other members regarding what people want to discuss and share. Do we want to do a book club some of the time? What do we want to do? Because the whole point of the group is interaction. Now, many of us up the brew have our own horror stories about online groups and being subjected to one manner of unpleasantness. And everyone at the brew understands that it can take that kind of experience, it can make even the most extroverted of people more than a little cautious and pretty gun shy. It takes time to heal from past bad experiences. It takes time to develop trust. But I do hope that Blackbird's Brew can become the spiritual and the social oasis that many pagans need. So 2022 is going to be a very busy year. I'll just have to see where Loki sees fit to lead me. I do feel excited about moving forward and about having a deity to lean on and to lean on in a way that I just haven't experienced with other gods. It's giving me a sense of confidence as I'm facing the unknown. Now, there's no telling what kind of roller coaster awaits us all in the next calendar year, but Loki will definitely be showing me the fun side of it and the opportunities that lie within even the most disagreeable events. So I can't wait to see how it all unfolds and what I'll be able to do with it. I think that's it for today, though. If you'd like to carry on with this, again, please come visit us at Blackbird's Brew. We're happy to have you. There's a link to join in the description box below. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video, leave me a comment. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.